Hi, and welcome to part 3 on the realistic SCT-42 cassette deck. In this part, I'll be changing the actual belts themselves. There's also part 1, general assessment of the deck, and part 2, a removing of the mechanism for a belt change. Let's get stuck into it. In this part, I'll be swapping in the new belts while the old ones are still coming out. I'm going to split the mechanism. Had a bit of a chance to have a look at it, and there will be this screw, that screw, as well as, where did I see it? One of these screws, probably that one on top. And this cable tie might have to come off soon as well. This flywheel here with the belt marks all the way around it will be the flywheel that's got the belt fully around it. And this one will be, I'm thinking the belt will go to the top into the motor like that, or perhaps, yeah, I think that's the way we'll go. Alright, and one more on top, this one here. Probably not a bad idea to remove these cable ties as well before I go splitting anything up. And I'm going to remove this screw, the second screw on the side of the mechanism as well. And now that is loose, it's still not coming out, but it's loose. And that's because it looks like these cables are still holding it, so that cable tie will have to come off. And I've got the cables out of there through that slot there. And when I lift the bracket, it's looking like this here. Yeah, obviously this is going to still need cleaning, and I'll do that now so I'm not getting filthy or getting the cleaned parts filthy. With that done, it's looking a bit better. And with better access to the brass pulley, I'm still getting a whole heap of fils coming off that motor pulley. And while the mechanism is really good quality with its heavy flywheels, balanced, it's not exactly an easy mechanism to work on. For instance, to do anything with this flywheel, I have to remove this motor and gears that are on top. That won't go anywhere. Same with this one. This one's not going to come out unless I remove other stuff as well. So I've decided to separate that board from that motor bracket as well. It's only 2 screws, see if that helps. And swing it out of the way. It's not a lot, but anything that helps is a bonus. And when I swing it out of the way like that, I've got access to one flywheel, but not the other one yet. So that lets me remove one of the flywheels, and that's a really heavy flywheel. Here, I've got one of these spacers. And that's what it looks like in here. I'll throw that back on the flywheel for now and give this area clean. And on this spring there's also a washer, and there's the capstan retainer from the cassette side of things. So I'll clean these things up. As far as the solidified parts of the belt go on the flywheel, I'm going to use this stuff. It's just a plastic kitchen scourer, non-abrasive. This I'm going to do to both of the flywheels. And just clean that residue of those belts from the surface like that. It's not hurting the metal, it's just getting rid of the harder bits of the belt off the surface. And after a good clean with that, it's looking like this. There's still a bit of residue here that I can see. I'll still have to get that off, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. With all that cleaned up, it's looking like this. And this is a cleaner of the two flywheels. That took a while. But that's ready to be lubed up and go back in, including the spring and the washer, after I lubricate the caps and bearings. For now, let's put the bearing back on there. Washer first. Spring. And that retainer too can go on there for now. Like that. So I've unscrewed these two screws and went to remove the bracket to get to the second flywheel so it comes out through the top. And oh yes, I can see contacts here. I suppose I better mark it the way it went in. Yeah, so it's come out. You can see all the contacts on here as well. Get that out of the way. Maybe this way. I'll clean those contacts too. This looks like this with all the contacts on here. So it went something like in this orientation like that, and it can go in either way. There's no dowel or anything, so okay, this is going to be interesting. So first thing is first, let's get this flywheel out. Minding that spring and that washer that's going to be underneath it. Yep, I can see them. So that's the flywheel. That's the dirty one. And you can clearly see still the residue that's on there. The solid bits of the belt. There's the spring. And under that spring there should be a black washer. And yes, there is a black washer under that spring. I'll have to put those aside, and when I clean the flywheel, I'll put that straight back on the flywheel again. So I'm just going to use these again to clean the flywheel with, and cut it into little squares with some scissors. Get it soaked in isopropyl alcohol, as well as the flywheel. And rub all that markings off, that solid parts of the belt. And that's working like this. That's going to take a while, So I'll just skip it to when it's clean, and you can tell that it's working. So I've spent more than a couple of minutes rubbing those ridges off, whatever that gunk was that oozed out of the belt. Unfortunately, it did react with the metal, and whatever came off, whatever was going to come off, came off, but these are microscopic indentations now, or grooves, not ridges anymore, and simply because whatever that oozed out of that belt made a chemical reaction with the belt. This is as good as I'm going to get it without having someone put it in a lathe and polish it out. So I've given it a wipe. I'm going to put that tiny spacer washer on there. Yeah, like that, and the spring. And put it aside for a while. Now I'm going to clean these contacts with isopropyl alcohol again. And I'll probably spray some contact cleaner on there as well before I go assembling it. It's looking pretty clean already. I've given this worm drive a bit of a clean as well, and I'm going to clean out most of that grease out of here as well. Like that. So I've given this a clean. As much of the old grease I've removed as much as I could from there, and I'll use some Teflon PTFE plastic friendly grease in there as well. And now I'm going to clean out the capstan bearings with this pipe cleaner. Thanks for putting me onto these, Renee. And they don't look too bad in there. It's not coming out filthy as. So that looks good. Yeah. And here you can see on that brass pulley a bit of copper sulfate. So that belt has also reacted with the copper or brass pulley as well. I'll clean that off with some vinegar. Time to give the flywheels one more final clean before they go in. And that's pretty clean there. So what I might do is lube up this spring and the washer with grease. This one came out bone dry, as the other one was lubricated and dirty with dirty old lubricant. So yeah, I might put the washer back on and the spring and lube them up with grease, and then lube up the shaft with oil and put both flywheels back in. So something like this, not too much, and put that back on the flywheel. And now for the washer, lube that up as well. like that, and I'll clean that off straight away, and that can go in where it came from. Like this. Same story with this one. I've just got it marked as the right hand side flywheel there, so don't confuse the two. I don't think it's crucial, but nevertheless. So exactly the same story with the second flywheel. Spring, then the washer, and all the stuff falling off. Okay. And the washer, I'll give it a bit of a dab of a grease spot on top. So that's plenty, and again give it some oil on the shaft. That's also plenty, and that can go in the second flywheel slot in the bearings there. That looks good. Yep. So my gloves are no longer really clean and they're a bit greasy, so I'm going to degrease the surface of the flywheels again. Make sure that's all good. And the same on the second flywheel. And that's clean. And I have to say, I like these capstan retainers. And they're really solid, thick plastic, not just sheet of plastic, but actual plastic. You can't lose them easily, and you can take them off and replace them easily too. And I'll do that now. And push them in all the way home, like that. This one's going to be tricky. Okay, holding the flywheel from the back. Push it in. And this is the belt I ended up getting for it. This one's going to be too short. This one I've ended up getting like this. This is not the ideal belt for this machine. It's a few mil shorter than ideal or the replacement, but it's the only one I could get, and the owner said he's fine with that. Another belt, and the counter belt. With this one here, I'll have to see how it fits. I've got a I've seen the correct size belt on tape heads, and they say it's this. Let's have a look how this one sits on there. It's going to go like this, and over the top. To the motor. Yeah, and that's going to be the motor somewhere here, and it works like this. Okay. Yes, so something like this, fully around this flywheel, over the top of this one, and the motor will be here, the motor pulley will be somewhere there. So for now, what I might do is hook it up on here, and it's gone off its flywheel. Okay. Let's have a look again. What I might do is hook it up on here. I'm not sure if that's the purpose of that there, but just hook it up on there. On here like this, it stays there. And then loop it around this flywheel here. I didn't say it was meant to be easy. Like that for now. And that way it's not going to go anywhere when I try to when I get to fit the rest of the brackets and boards and what have you, before I get to fit the motor pulley. Let's move it across. So the next step is to fit this back on. Some new grease in there, and this is plastic friendly PTFE grease. Spread it in there where the old grease was as evenly as I can. Clean up the excess. And it looks like this, about the same sort of grease, about the same amount of grease, but now fresh. Clean the contacts with isopropyl alcohol in this. This will go on next, and on that gear, it's operated by this worm gear from this motor here, and you can see the marks here. And that went in this orientation, somewhere there like that. It's only got a limited amount of movement. And with the assembly of this cam gear, I have made a mark here, just in case it does move on me. And also you can see these cutouts here in this collar. And it's got similar prongs in here to fit into that, into those gaps here. So they'll fit in there like that. And now it's locked in there. Yeah. So the contacts were about here, if I rely on my mental notes. And that's operated by the contacts on here and on this worm gear here. Very clever. A tiny amount of grease on this worm gear. And I should be able to screw that off in its position where it came from. So somewhere here. And this might be the best way of fitting it. I've marked the contacts, where the position of the contacts on the other side, fitting it in mesh with the worm gear, and then lowering it onto here. This might be the easiest way. So something like this, and then screw it off, preferably in the shaft first. and if that's not working as it should, I'll have to reset it. Sorry for swearing. Right, so resetting again. And clean off more remnants of the old belt around here. Was that all clean? Let's give the motor a drop of oil or two and work that in. And with everything almost in place, it looks like if I relocate this belt from this peg to this one, that should be probably where I should have put it on the first time, and then I'll be able to slip on the belt onto the motor pulley with a bracket in place. I'll do that now. And from here I should be able to get onto the motor relatively easily. And that's looking at it with a bracket almost in place. So it's going to go from here to here, and I'll head it on here to go to there. That shouldn't be too bad. Now I'm going to grease up the flywheel bearing, top bearing on the right hand side flywheel, like I did on the left, and that bracket can be screwed down. And so I've got the bracket where I want it on its locating dowels, the board where I want it, and the cables where I want them, along with these two screws and this one here. Now for the board, now I want to put some cable ties where they were to make these cabling a bit more neater. Actually, first I probably want to get that belt on there, on the motor pulley, from that peg and onto that motor pulley. Like that. And that will have to do like that. And now for the two belts, for the counter belt and the other belt here. Counter belt on. Now for the last belt here. like that. And now the backing plate can go back on. And with all that done, let's check the speed on this cassette deck using this app here. The speed calibration cassette, some screwdrivers, tiny screwdrivers, and some headphones. So I've got the headphones and the app hooked up like this. Cassette in and headphones plugged in. And that is running a touch fast. And using that small screwdriver, just bear in mind that you're working close to the transformer. So let's quickly check and see how it all works. Play. Fast forward. Stop. Play. Pause. Play. These are indicators for various modes of auto reverse. Auto reverse also works. Rewind. Let's put some music through it. And this music does sort of start like that, that's how it sounds. Thanks for watching and see you next or the previous video.